There is no more cruel tyranny than that which is exercised under cover of law and with the colors of justice. Experience hath shown that even under the best forms of government, those entrusted with power have, in time and by slow operation, perverted it into tyranny. A population of sheep, in time, will surely beget a government of wolves. A president cannot defend a nation if he is not held accountable to its laws. Laws are like cobwebs, which may catch small flies, but let wasps and hornets break through. Bad laws are the worst sort of tyranny. Law, applied to its extreme, is the greatest injustice. There is no man so good who, were he to submit all his thoughts to the laws, would not deserve hanging 10 times in his life. Mere public intolerance or animosity cannot constitutionally justify the deprivation of a person's physical liberty. Tyranny is the exercise of some power over a man which is not warranted by law or necessary for the public safety. A people can never be deprived of their liberties while they retain in their own hands a power sufficient to any other power in the state. If laws were real, they wouldn't need to be enforced, because if they were real, they couldn't be broken. Try breaking the law of gravity. Now that's a law. Laws made by man are rules reflecting the current status of his moral codes. As he alters and whittles away his morality, casting bits and pieces aside, his codes change to reflect it. If we desire respect for the law, we must first make the law respectable. The law was made for one thing alone, for the exploitation of those who don't understand it. Errors do not cease to be errors simply because they are ratified into law. The only stable state is the one in which all men are equal before the law. The strength of the Constitution lies entirely in the determination of each citizen to defend it. Only if every single citizen feels duty-bound to do his share in this defense are the constitutional rights secure. The prestige of government has undoubtedly been lowered considerably by the Prohibition Law, for nothing is more destructive of respect for the government and the law of the land than passing laws which cannot be enforced. If you want good laws, burn those you have and make new ones. The more corrupt the state, the more numerous the laws. It is wrong to consider that courts are established for the benefit of the people. Those who want to perpetuate their power do so through the courts. If people were to settle their own quarrels, a third party would not be able to exercise any authority over them. Truly, men were less unmanly when they settled their disputes either by fighting or by asking their relatives to decide for them. They became more unmanly and cowardly when they resorted to the courts of law. It was certainly a sign of savagery when they settled their disputes by fighting. Is it any less so if I ask a third party to decide between you and me? Surely a decision of a third party is not always right. The parties alone know who is right. We, in our simplicity and ignorance, imagine that a stranger, by taking our money, gives us justice. There's no way to rule innocent men. The only power any government has is the power to crack down on criminals. Well, when there aren't enough criminals, one makes them. One declares so many things to be a crime that it is impossible for men to live without breaking laws. We tell ourselves a lot of lies about prisons. The biggest lie is calling it the criminal justice system. It is not a system. It has nothing to do with justice. And if there's anything criminal about it, it's the fact that jails tend to make their inmates lifelong antisocial animals. It is more important that innocence be protected than it is that guilt be punished, for guilt and crimes are so frequent in this world that they cannot all be punished. But If innocence itself is brought to the bar and condemned, perhaps to die, then the citizen will say, whether I do good or whether I do evil is immaterial, for innocence itself is no protection. And if such an idea as that were to take hold in the mind of the citizen, that would be the end of security whatsoever. If trying to keep the law grants you the power to judge others and feel superior to them, you believe you are living to a higher standard than those you judge. Enforcing rules, especially in its more subtle expressions, like responsibility and expectation, is a vain attempt to create certainty out of uncertainty, and contrary to what you might think, I have a great fondness for uncertainty. Rules cannot bring freedom. They only have the power to accuse. A cop's job is to violently enforce upon the rest of us whatever arbitrary bullshit the political parasites declare to be law. It is therefore impossible to be a law enforcer and behave morally. For the same reason, one cannot be a moral carjacker. Here's a straightforward initial idea. Rules should not be multiplied beyond necessity. Alternatively stated, bad laws drive out respect for good laws. This is the ethical, even legal equivalent to Occam's razor, the scientist's conceptual guillotine, which states that the simplest possible hypothesis is preferable. Law is made by the winner to preserve victory over the loser. I think that everything should be made available to everybody, and I mean LSD, cocaine, codeine, grass, opium, the works. Nothing on earth available to any man should be confiscated and made unlawful by other men in more seemingly powerful and advantageous positions. The state calls its own violence law, but that of the individual, crime. The interest of the United States in criminal prosecution must not be that it shall win the case, but that justice will be served. Prosecutor does not represent an entity whose interests include winning at all costs. Prosecutor's client is society, which seeks justice, not victory. Being democratic is not enough. A majority cannot turn what is wrong into right. In order to be considered truly free, countries must also develop a deep love of liberty and an abiding respect for the rule of law.